Hello，大家好，我係小 Margaret and welcome to my little Cantonese corner. 今日2022年5月10日星期二. Today it is Tuesday, the 10th of May, 2022, and we're here today to discuss simplified versus traditional characters and answer the question, why simplify? And I'm going to be making a pretty bold prediction for what the future holds for this debate and for characters in general. But first, if this is your first time visiting my channel, I do videos on teaching Cantonese, teaching Mahjong, and cultural conversations such as this one. So if you like what you see and hear, please consider subscribing to my channel and giving this video a thumbs up. Okay, let's get started by first mentioning that I did last week or about 10 days ago a poll on the community thread of my channel asking this question, why simplify and how do you feel about simplified characters? And pretty overwhelmingly, the result was that a lot of people do not like using simplified characters. And I am one of those people. I really don't like simplified characters, going so far as to say I hate them and I don't use them, I don't teach them. And so, yeah, I fall into that camp. But I was really curious after doing my poll and getting opinions from all different kinds of people in all different parts of the Chinese-speaking world on their views on simplified versus traditional. And it really made me think, why? Why don't I like simplified characters? So I wanted to go deeper and really understand myself better and understand this whole contentious debate on why. So first, let's go way back in time to the turn of the 20th century, the early 1900s, when the emperor was deposed and the republic was in its infancy, and there was talk at that time to do away with traditional characters. In fact, some went as far as to saying do away with characters altogether. And the reason for that was there was a huge part of the population that was illiterate. Characters and that type of elevated learning was seen as something that was very elitist, and they wanted to bring it more to the masses. And how to do this was to make the language simpler for people to understand, and also go as far as to have a romanization system, and as far as saying that they should migrate towards only a romanization system and completely do away with the Chinese characters. Well, during those times, there was a lot of upheaval, a lot of changes, and they never got around to actually implementing that in any like overarching, complete kind of way. So then World War I, World War II, and we get into the founding of the People's Republic of China and the beginning of the Communist Party's control over China. And they took another look at it and thought that simplified is the way to go. The reason I have a problem with it is because I don't think that you need to dumb down your language in order to do that. Because when you think about it, you have to first create this new simplified language. Then you have to teach people this simplified language, teach the teachers, and then those people have to go out and teach everybody this new system and form of writing. So why not spend all that time, effort, and energy on teaching traditional characters in a better, easier way? Now, granted, they weren't coming, a lot of them were illiterate, so they didn't even know the traditional characters. But that's where I have another problem, and that is that no choice, right? They didn't even know there was such a thing as a traditional system of writing previous to this. They only knew the simplified version. And so I have a problem with that because I don't feel that it shouldn't be like my way or the highway. You're learning this and we pretty much forbid you, or do never, not forbid, maybe is pretty strong, but don't give you the opportunity to learn this. Because in my mind, my way of thinking is that these are your people. You don't dumb things down for your people, right? They have every much a right to learn the language as it was passed down to them as anybody else. So that's my number one big reason, was that I never think you should dumb down the language for your own people. So let me explain that in a way that makes sense to me, and I hope it makes sense to you, is that I was thinking about English. English is not an easy language to learn. None of the languages are easy to learn, right? Even as a native speaker, it takes years to learn your language. So I think of times when I would simplify English, and I could think of two scenarios. And one situation would be you need to get information across as quickly and as easily as possible to someone who might not understand the language. So, for example, you're in the airport and someone who doesn't speak English, and you only speak English, yet you need to get across to them where to go. Even though, of course, you might draw something out if language is not possible, but you'll find yourself using really simple English in the hope that maybe they'll understand a little bit, and maybe they do. So, for example, like, go straight, turn right. You wouldn't express it the same way you would to a native speaker. So, for example, a native speaker comes up and says, "Hey, I need to find gate 54." And you're like, "Oh yeah, okay. So like go down this hall or go down here for a ways, and then you're going to see this shop and then hang a left." You speak differently, right? So that's one instance of simplifying the language. And I believe that's exactly what went through their minds when they were putting together the language to teach back in the early 1950s, to teach people, is that we just need you to understand as quickly as possible our message. Nothing wrong with that on its face. But again, after I have that interaction with someone at the airport, I don't have a vested interest in whether or not they learn English, right? The point was to get them to understand it, move on their way, get to where they had to go safely or on time. And I don't mind if they ever learn English better or not, or to a higher degree or not. So that's the end of the interaction. But the second scenario that I thought of when you're talking about simplifying the language would be when you're speaking with children, right? These are your own children or children of your culture, of your nation, of your country, and you might speak an easier language to them. You're not going to speak the same to a child as you would to a university professor. You don't even come across the same topics. So that might be a place where you simplify the language for a child. But the difference is that you don't continue to speak like that to that child as they grow up, right? Because they are part of your culture, part of your country, part of your society, and you're going to be speaking to them in a way that brings up their level of literacy. Now, I understand that simplified characters do cover most any situation that you want to explain, right? I mean, it's not a apples to apples comparison in that regard. It's not like simplified are still being just used for children and they never get beyond that level of understanding. However, there are instances, and there are a lot of videos on YouTube you can go to that outline, the differences between traditional and simplified and which should you choose. But I guess my point is to say that there are some characters in simplified that they've simplified to the point where one character takes the place of three words with different meanings. Why would you do that, right? Especially, again, you're speaking to your people, right? Your people that eventually you want to have. I would think that you would want every person in your country, in your company, to understand the full richness of your language, and not leave that only for those at higher levels of government, those that do calligraphy, in academia, that still use traditional characters on the mainland. And that brings me to another point, is that really the reason that sparked this whole video and wanting to do simplified versus traditional and why simplify is because someone had said to me once that in the comments on another thread that, no offense, but I find people that prefer traditional characters to be stuck up, basically, to have this superior, holier than thou attitude. And my first thought was, really? I don't see it like that at all. I see it to be the complete opposite, because I think, wow, how elitist and stuck up to think that your own people aren't smart enough to learn traditional characters. I mean, you just have to look at the literacy rates in Taiwan and Hong Kong. Again, a lot of people point to this as being, they're not too difficult. There's no problem with literacy in Hong Kong and Taiwan, although some people will argue that because of the nature of Cantonese, the fact that you've got a spoken script, you've got a standard written Chinese, you've got Cantonese characters, and you're speaking something that you don't write, which is why I think Hong Kong people are friggin' amazing, because they're faced with all these different languages, really, And the fact that they even learn it to the degree that they do, I think is super impressive. So anyway, the literacy rates in those two places would lead one to believe that it's not the language. You don't have to simplify the language in order to increase literacy. So back to my point of being superior, far from it. I think people that insist on simplified are being quite that way, thinking that, wow, you're not smart enough to learn it, right? Some people have said that language changes all the time. So what's the big deal? This was just one change. But the big deal that I have with it is that it was done chop, change, immediately, out with the old, in with the new, done. That is not what's called like a gradual change, a natural change in the language. So yes, language does change, but I take issue with the way it's insistent on change and immediate, and refusing to let anybody use it in a way that was uh, old style, like as a chop and change. Now, some other considerations when looking at traditional versus simplified are simply the beauty of the character. Simplified characters have been stripped so badly that they don't even look like anything pretty. And I guess the comparison I make with this is the Mona Lisa or any beautiful painting that is very intricate and it brings you joy and it's just gorgeous to look at, compared to if you strip that picture of the Mona Lisa down to a stick figure of a woman with barely a smile and two eyes. I mean, the difference between those two, which would you pay a lot of money for, which would you appreciate more, would be that Mona Lisa painting. And you can see this because in calligraphy, they don't use simplified characters. They revert to the traditional characters because they are more beautiful. So that's another reason to think, why would you take this beauty away from your own people? I don't really compute that. So thank you so much for watching. Again, my name is Sue Marguerite. I do videos on teaching Cantonese, on teaching Mahjong with my mother-in-law, and on cultural conversations such as this. This video is for everybody, so I really hope that you'll comment below and share your thoughts on this and what you think is going to happen, possibly. Tell me that I'm crazy, that there's no way that's ever going to happen. Simplified is here to stay. Or if gradually, I'm not talking about making it mandatory because I don't believe ever that you should force people to do something. But I do think you're going to see people embracing the traditional characters. So, okay, I'm going to stop talking now. And thank you so much for joining me here. Please do like the video if you do. Subscribe to my channel for more content here. And I will see you next time on my little Cantonese corner. Bye.